mess we make. Machine Bun Kelly get caught in the fray. Facts and logic with a twist of chest. Strip it down to truth, yeah, forget the rest. Humor blows the lies right out of the park. Look beyond the shadows, dissect the dark. Sparks of laughter fire up the night, bringing clarity when they blur the fight. Cut through the chaos, yeah, the tangled lies. Steve Bun Kelly with a set of clear eyes. Truths and jokes gonna rock this show. Step into light where the real facts flow.
Hello. Oh, whoops. I got to do this. Hang on. Hello. Sorry about that little giddy up there. Welcome to the Pun Show. It's a Monday. I'm going to try and do a show every day this week, whether you want it or not, because I need to get myself going here. I need to get back into the swing of things. So I hope you guys all had a nice 3-day weekend. I am not aware of Donald Trump ever acknowledging that it was Juneteenth or, why we have a Juneteenth. And I suppose his apologists will say that doesn't mean he's racist, but it kind of does. It kind of does. When you say that, just pointing out that, black people were enslaved for 200 years is the actual racism and not like actually owning black people for 200 years, then yeah, you're kind of racist. And when you're like not saying that owning black people is wrong, then you're a racist. And when you won't even acknowledge that freeing black people was right, you are definitely a racist. Donald Trump is a racist. Like, let's stop being like cautious about this. The man is racist. He says he doesn't have a racist bone in his body. Well, nobody does. Bones aren't racist. Thoughts are. He's got all kinds of racist thoughts in his head. I don't care about his bones. It's his thoughts. It's the actual racist things he says and does. Calling countries in Africa poop hole countries, and he didn't say poop hole, that's racist. Calling Hispanics rapists and murderers, that's racist. Donald Trump is a racist, people. Let's stop pulling punches. If you don't like it, then you might be a racist too. Because if he's doing those things that you agree with, and I point out they're racist, maybe you should either, like change your ways or at least have a little self-reflection. Anyway, hope you had a good Juneteenth otherwise. I don't know what you did, but I hope you had a good one. Hope you had a good weekend. I know who didn't have a good weekend. J.D. Vance. Did you see what happened? The way he just got punked by Iran. They didn't even want to shake his hand. They walked right past him. They just made him their little female dog. He looked like such a punk. It was hilarious. It's like the next, iteration of Trump was supposed to be Rubio or Vance. Trump's already got this monstrosity of a failure, this whole Iran debacle, from the get up to the current, from starting the war, from ending the actual peace agreement that was good, the nuclear agreement that was good. He ended that. Then he just started a war for no reason. Then he lost the war. Now he's blaming J.D. Vance. They're getting $300 billion with no guarantees of how they're going to spend it. Yeah, how do you think Israel's going to like it when they start sending that money to Hezbollah or to Hamas? What's supposed to stop them from doing that? The oil sanctions are released. JD Vance is out there lying, trying to say, oh, well, they're not released yet. They're only going to be released under certain conditions, blah, 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 blah. But that's not what the MOA says. That if you are going to like talk about a memorandum of understanding, you should understand what is in the memorandum, JD. You went to Yale. I would think you would know how to read and write. So Tim says, Tim. Oh, are you in Tim I Austin? Are you Tim in Austin? Do you live in Austin? Are you like, you're practically my neighbor if you're in Austin. I'm in Elgin. I don't know if you know where that is, but it's out past Manor. By the way, if you guys have never been to Texas, you have to understand every word in Texan has like its own pronunciation. So MANOR, which the rest of the civilized world calls manor, in Texas, it is pronounced Manor. And one time I was talking to some friends, I said, yeah, I was driving through Manor, and they looked at me like, what? Where is Manor? I never heard of Manor. And then one of them looks at me, oh, you mean Manor? I'm like, who pronounces it Manor? Anyway, I'm going to write a Texas to English dictionary at some point. But back to Iran, that deal is ludicrous. And so Betsy says, okay, I don't know what it's okay, but I hope you're okay, Betsy. I like your little emoji thing there. The little pink pink. I don't know what that is. Okay, and then somebody with a homophobic slur here. I don't know why that's necessary. Yeah, JD Vance and Marco Rubio. So JD Vance, he's just getting like humiliated by Iran. Donald Trump says if it falls apart, he's just going to blame JD Vance. And it's already falling apart. JD Vance's political career ended last week. It's over. And Marco Rubio, who is the other, because the whole heir apparent to Trump was supposed to be JD Vance versus Marco Rubio, right? Marco Rubio, who, by the way, is the Secretary of State and, normally would be the person you would expect to be involved in like negotiating a peace treaty. Kind of like John Kerry actually negotiated a treaty with Iran. Marco Rubio is nowhere to be found except unless he's just standing behind Trump looking embarrassed. But he has apparently no role at all in all of this. And so between Vance and Rubio, like Rubio looks feckless and JD Vance looks like a failure. So I don't know which of them is going to, pick up the reins of whatever disaster Trump leaves. But we're talking about like in November, it's going to be a blue wave. I don't think that, I think that the way things are going, the Republicans have no shot at the White House in 2028. They have no shot. I think that we're in for a big sea change to try and not just fix all the stuff that Trump is doing, but to make sure it never happens again. And I think that the only way to do that, and I think a lot of people are realizing it, which is one of the reasons Mamdani is so popular, is we need to actually swing left. We're always talking about how far left the Democrats are. The Democrats are center right. We need actual left in our government. And by left, I mean what the rest of the world would call centrist. Like, I'm sorry. If you think that universal health care is an extreme policy, then you are the extreme person. I think that rationing health care based on your income and employer, that is the extremist ideology. Okay. So we got some Trump great, stop crying. I don't know who's crying here, and Trump is not great. You're entitled to your opinion, but I am also entitled to you. Happy Gay Pride Month to you. Well, I'm not gay, but I have no problems with gay. I don't know why you think this is an insult. I hope you have an enjoyable Gay Pride Month. It's not too late to come out of the closet. Proud America. So more cry. Happy Straight Month. Okay, now we got Franklin is like apparently a homophobe. I know. Okay. Does anybody want you know? Hey, Trump supporters, you're free to engage with me on the topic, but can you please just refrain from just coming on and hurling homophobic insults? I see now you only address issues that follow your liberal whiny ass narrative. Sure is easy to make a point if only. Go ahead and give me a point, Mark. Go ahead, counter my point. I will read your comment. Yes, I talk about my views on my podcast. I'm sorry, I'm not saying what you think. You're welcome to start a podcast and tell people what you think. And I'm willing to interact with you and discuss what you think. But yes, on my show, I talk about what I think is relevant, and I don't have a problem with that. If you have a problem with that, the internet is vast. Go somewhere else. Okay. Harris said men can use the girls' bathroom. So what? Harris recognized that transgender women should use the transgender bathroom or should use the women's bathroom. I have no problem with that. I don't. So what? So what? Why is that such an issue? Okay, now we got more gay pride stuff. Keir Starmer is a wanker. I don't even know who Keir Starmer is. Who is Keir Starmer? Oh, is he the guy that just resigned? I have no opinion on him, but I do have an opinion on the word wanker, and I like it. I'm assuming you're from the UK. Are you coming from the UK? Okay, Colonel Olds. I got to start calling you Colonel Olds. Colonel Olds used to be known as Skippy. The current healthcare system is basically, if you're too poor, you can't be healthy. Yeah, that's basically it. And Randy wants to reiterate the same thing he already said, which is, yes, Kamala Harris thinks that transgender women can use the bathroom. Tell him. I would like to point out that there has never been a prosecution of a transgender woman who assaulted anyone in a women's bathroom, a public women's bathroom. It's never happened. There are all kinds of assaults. About 40% of transgender women that use the men's bathroom get assaulted every year. So yes, Kamala Harris said transgender women should be able to use the women's bathroom. And I have no idea why you think that, it's okay to assault transgender people. But that does not make you righteous or good. It's a uniparty, only massive civil disobedience. I don't think it. I think that the whole uniparty thing is a little bit of a reach. I think it's too far. I think that the Democrats definitely have distinct policies from like the MAGA wing of the Republican Party. I think saying things like that is kind of dismissive of any nuance at all anywhere in the universe. It's not a uniparty. That doesn't mean I agree with everything the Democrats do and say. I'm just saying everything the Democrats do and say is not the same thing as MAGAs. That's why they argue. That's why there's debate between them. And this is the kind of attitude that in 2000 cost us the election, which cost us the Supreme Court, which now Then in 2016, it cost us the election. And in 2024, it cost us the election. And this kind of mentality that the Democrats are just the same thing as the MAGAs and that has led us deeper, further and further to the right. People on the left need to acknowledge that we are playing a game of chess here. And sometimes you have to sacrifice a bishop to get checkmate. I'm not saying that think that Kamala Harris or Hillary Clinton or anybody or even Al Gore was the perfect candidate, but they were a damn fine lot better than the person they were running against. Okay. All right. Randy, that's the last time that you're going to post that. If you post it again, I'm just going to, block you, because this kind of repeat posting is not really good. The first bathroom bill was 2015. They've literally been obsessed with trans women for over a decade for no reason. And it's like, I call it MAGA Tourette's, that no matter, like we were talking about the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. And so this guy comes in and just starts yelling about Harris thinks that men should be able to use the women's bathroom or something. Like that, when they've lost an argument, when they don't actually have a conversation to have, they just start yelling about trans people. The fact that the whole bathroom thing is a huge issue in America is embarrassing. It is. It's okay. Dave, okay, so somebody's correcting their grammar. Trump is the only president that his family never owned slaves. I'm sorry. Are you talking about ancestors? That's because his ancestors weren't Americans until the 20th century. Dude, what a dumb comment. I'm sorry. My wife gets mad at me when I say dumb. But that is a legitimately dumb argument. That's just dumb. Like, you're accusing Barack Obama of being like pro-slavery because his ancestors owned slaves? Sit down. Yet the far left is what is the far left? Please explain to me, what is the far left and what is embarrassing about it? Because I cannot get a straight answer from, I just get, whenever I try and have this conversation with people on the right, all I hear about is just vague things like leftist, Marxist, socialist, communist, far left, extremist, whatever, Antifa. Like, I never hear a specific thing. So please tell me which specific policy you think the far left is too far left on, and which candidate is promoting the policy you think is too extreme. Are you capable of having a honest conversation? So yeah, the reflecting pool. Let's get back to the reflecting pool. So I think that this is hilarious. Like, when you look at the whole thing that happened. So back 15 years ago, it's been decades in the works. This whole, there's been issues going back decades. So like 10, 15 years ago, I forget exactly when Obama was president, they did a bunch of stuff to it. It had been sinking several, I think, feet. So they went under, and there was some leaking going on. And that work was not primarily to do anything about the algae. It was to stop the sinking of the pool and to stop the leaking. And it was good for a while, and then it started leaking again. So then Donald Trump comes along later, right? And this was a problem that was going on long before Obama. So when I talk about the algae problem, I am not saying that it started with Obama or that it started with Trump. Like, this has been going on for a while. And I think that there is this artificial moving of the goalposts to where people that are defending Trump want to say, well, the algae was there before him. Nobody's denying that. Nobody's blaming him for algae having been there in the first place. This is the problem with the whole reflecting pool. One, he gave a contract to his pals for, I think, $1.4 million, when she said, was better than anybody else could do it. And it was a no bid contract. And so they came in, and then he decided, it's not like there was some committee that decided that they needed to do it American flag blue. This was his idea. And so they painted it this darker blue for some reason. And then what happened is, because of that darker blue, as you know, anybody that's ever owned a car in like a hot state, you don't like to get a black car in Texas because it will heat up fast. You get in that thing and you will burn your butt on the seats. So darker colors absorb heat faster. That's just like basic physics. And this was it's a fairly shallow pool. It's only 2 feet deep. And it's got a lot of surface area, so it's absorbing a lot of heat. Like, I've seen people compare it to a swimming pool. Swimming pools have chlorine. The Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool doesn't have chlorine in it. And nobody wants it to, like, the whole city of DC to smell like chlorine. So don't compare it to chlorine or to swimming pools. That's just dumb. And also, there is a lot more water in a swimming pool, so the heat is not as the solar implications aren't the same. So, because it was warmer, it was more optimal for algae blooming. So more algae bloomed. I'm not saying the algae started. I'm saying the problem got worse. And I hope you can understand the difference if you're a MAGA and you're only capable of thinking in false dichotomies. I'm not saying he caused the problem. I'm saying that his fix for the problem ended up making the problem worse. So now it was like greener than it's been, and it's yucky and gross. And apparently from people who, have been there, it smells bad. So they went in to take care of this algae problem, and they started pouring vast amounts of hydrogen peroxide in it. And the hydrogen peroxide ended up causing the sealant to peel and the paint to peel. So now you get like what I saw described as blue sheets of paint floating around in the pool. And you got like the sealant like apparently coming up. And then you got this canoer guy, Olympian, just comes in and has the audacity to touch this sealant that is, being dislodged. And then, now Trump wants to blame him for it. Like somehow the space-time continuum doesn't apply here. So anyway, I keep thinking about this and how it's such a perfect metaphor for Donald Trump, who said he was going to drain the swamp. Right? How many times has he said he's going to drain the swamp? And he literally turned the Lincoln Memorial Pool into a swamp. He didn't drain the swamp, he created the swamp. And this is like a perfect image of his entire presidency. He's sitting there, he's selling pardons to drug dealers and money launderers. And anybody that's rich enough to pay for it can get a pardon. All you have to do is go through Trump Pardons R Us, and you can get a pardon too. I mean, forget about all the work that the federal prosecutors put into it. All he does is just say, oh, they were just run through by the Biden administration. They were treated very unfairly. He will never say how they were treated unfairly, in what manner they were treated unfairly. the former president of Honduras, whose name I can't think of right now, he said he was treated unfairly. The prosecution of him and the investigation of him was partly while he was president the first time. They had all kinds of evidence. They worked 10 years to get that case and prosecute it. And he never said how the guy was treated unfairly. He just says he was treated very unfairly, which is not, Trump is very long on the wind and very short on specifics, if you ever pay attention. Nobody can say as many words as Donald Trump without actually saying anything than Donald Trump. So yeah, he turned the Lincoln Memorial into a swamp, and he's turned the Oval Office into a swamp. You could not draw a better perfect parallel. And then the beauty of it is the company is called Greenwater Repair. Isn't that a riot? That's even better than the whole Four Seasons debacle. The only thing we need now is Rudy Giuliani to give a die-sweating speech in front of the swamp that Donald Trump created, blaming it on the liberals. So Bob says no such thing. I think he means transgender women. For the right is the only one talking about it. Talking about what? The pool? Protect the kids from what? Trump cannot legally buy a firearm in the United States because he's a felon. Oh, that brings up another thing I just wanted to mention. I've gotten some pushback even from people on the left because I don't have a problem with Joe Biden pardoning Hunter Biden, because I was saying that the premise of the prosecution, one, he's, nobody else has ever been prosecuted for it. And number two, nobody else was ever unprosecuted for it, largely because everybody knew it was unconstitutional. Well, now the Supreme Court has determined that prior drug use, can't prevent you from owning a firearm. So if Biden had not pardoned Hunter, if Joe hadn't pardoned Hunter, Hunter would now just be able to get out on appeal anyway. Trump never owned a firearm. I don't really. What does that have to do with anything? He can't. It's true. I don't know what is true. Oh, that Trump can't own a firearm. The Democrat Party is basically a failure. They're over. Okay, Bob. I mean, that's an opinion. It's one that has zero basis in reality or fact, but that's like all MAGA opinions. You aren't getting any more checks for being a shill. Get a job, bum. Okay. Thank you for that. Appreciate your feedback. Trump saved the U.S. from people like this host. Okay. Appreciate you. Trump is over. The Iranians played Trump like a fiddle. I'm thinking, I keep thinking of describing it as the shark of a deal. Like, this is, on every single measure, it's worse than what Obama negotiated. And we didn't have to spend billions of dollars and murder schoolgirls to get there. All right, American flag. I don't get why they call it a bathroom. It should be called a toilet room. I'm like the same. And it's not a restroom either. Who goes in there to rest? I've never taken a nap in a bathroom. Or, they should just call it the toilet. Anyway, I agree. Bleep all the way off. Love my President Trump. Okay, you're inclined to love, the pedophile in chief all you want. And urinal room. The far left is the opposite of the far right. What does that mean? That's just a meaningless sentence. I'm sorry. I don't think that's true. What does that mean? Like, the far left is so I don't even know that's just such a completely meaningless statement. I'm sorry. Trump turds realize the party is over. And even communism isn't technically the opposite of fascism. Trump turds realize the party is over and MAGA is circling the toilet bowl, ready to be flushed. What is the current just he's about 20 points underwater. He's basically as unpopular as he has ever been. Men and girl sports. What like there are like a handful. It's not a federal thing. Like try thinking about something else that other than transgender women in women's sports. Like it's such an a minuscule thing to like spend so much time, energy, and focus on. We have more laws against transgender women in women's sports than we have transgender women in sports. Trump needs a fresh diaper. This is like an evergreen statement. Did you ever see the interview with the guy from The Apprentice? This is not like Donald Trump has not been able to control his bowels for decades. Watch the interview of the guy that did The Apprentice. They even had a guy called the diaper guy that was responsible for changing Trump's diapers. Which, I mean, I cannot imagine a worse job. Rick Young blasphemy. Next, you're going to tell me North is the opposite of South. Censorship. I don't know what censorship you're talking about. The elimination. I mean, are you talking about me like just blocking somebody if I'm in to troll and not have a serious conversation? Just repeat the same comment over and over again? Banning somebody for being a moron. I'm not the U.S. government, and I'm not like prosecuting anybody. The elimination and like I said, I'm willing to read any comment as long as they don't have profanity, and I'm willing to engage with people. But I'm not just going to sit there and engage with same, silly thing about transgender women using the bathroom all the time. There's so many, like he posted the thing like 5 times. The elimination of First and Second Amendments. That's what Donald Trump is doing. Yes, and that's. Thank you for bringing me back to that, Chris. What happened under Obama with the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool, he went through normal channels. He got an. They got a, different bids. They looked at things, and things went normal. There was not the algae. The controversy is that Donald Trump bypassed the means by which, even by law, you're supposed to do this. Now, there is a situation like they can bypass it in certain circumstances if there's like an emergency. And he declared it's an emergency, like an actual like prevent injury or something. Like it's not, oh, it's gonna not look pretty. And it's certainly not looking pretty now. So he bypassed the normal procedure to give his friend a no-bid contract that went way over budget. We're over 10 times what they said they were going to spend. And it's worse. Now we have to like start all over again. It's like the Iran war. He goes in, just declares the Trump thing or the Obama deal is terrible. Then he starts war. Now we've negotiated ourselves to go back to things that were the same as before their war. Only Iran gets more stuff out of it. Something on fire, puts out the fire, then wants to take credit for the ashes. That's Donald Trump's presidency. Who gives a shoot? Again, I don't care about the pool itself so much. I care about the corruption. I care about the that while we are, taking food away from children, literally, cutting SNAP benefits, and we're shutting down hospitals in rural Texas because we don't have the money for it. We've got tens of millions of dollars to funnel to Donald Trump's friend to do a job badly. That's what I care about. Okay, Bob, this may be your first time. I should spell your correctly. It is YOU''RE. The MAGA war on apostrophes is terrible. It's terrible. Like, take an English class. It's YOU''RE, a joke. And probably should have an exclamation point on the end of it. Okay, see, now, Attic here. I'm okay with this. He was confused about which you're to use. So he just wrote the whole thing out and said, "You are a dip poop." I'm okay with that. Thank you. I appreciate I don't appreciate the insult, but I appreciate your endeavoring to be correct. Trump was wasted millions of taxpayer dollars on the reflecting pool. He effed up. It's like, you can't, even something that basic. Like, this is not like a debate. The pool is worse now. We spent all that money. And it's no better than it was. It's worse than it was. All these things are just objectively factual statements. And MAGA just, their rebuttal is to insult a podcast hoster. Simply states reality. Who brought Biden? It's BOUD. Brought is like, I brought Doritos to the party. But has agency and decides when he goes there, and I don't know where he was when and nobody bought Biden either. There's no evidence at all that anybody ever bought Biden. Excuse Trump's corruption. Either if Biden is corrupt and Trump is corrupt, then either corruption is wrong or corruption is right. Using Trump's, like, making up things about corruption to excuse Trump's obstruction, that's just lazy. I already did talk about Biden. 5 million. He spent that money, and they did what that money was intended to do. I don't know what the question is here. I already talked about it. Was sinking. They came in, they put 2x4s and stuff under that. They did a massive renovation, and water. Didn't mean to, anyway. But that wasn't trying to fix the algae issue. That was trying to fix the sinking issue, and they did. I've got a made-up disease. I've got this thing that doesn't exist. You won't, because you have TDS. TDS is not a real thing. Bob says TDS. It's funny how people see it, and this is what I mean. Like, MAGAs are like, if you point out facts, I call it MAGA Tourette's. And it's transgender people. That's one thing. They'll yell about TDS, which is not a real thing. It's just a made up thing. Like, disagreeing with Trump is not a mental disorder. It's not. You can go there's nothing in the ICBM. Yeah, I'm not the IC. What is that called? The ICM. Is it ICM? Anyway, the book of medical disorders. There's nothing in there called TDS. And disagreeing with Trump is not a mental disorder. I don't think that whether I think it's a very nuanced topic that has absolutely nothing to do with what we're talking about. And I get tired of every single show being derailed. One of the biggest ways to save the lives of trans children. That's what I think. Reject the basis of your question. I think that trans people should be allowed to exist as they are. I don't think that trans people should have to cater to what you think. I think that they should have agency and be able to live their lives the way that they choose to live their lives, not have some fat. Well, because he was returning their own money. And this is like, ask it, why isn't this being questioned? Dude, it was questioned when it happened, and fact check after fact check has already addressed it. My question for you is, how do you not know that? How do you know about the money, that money, and not even have the slightest curiosity to find out what really happened? Should we spend tax dollars on illegals? Can we talk about the thing we're talking about, Bob? And yes, we should spend tax dollars on illegals. We're spending tax dollars on illegals when we put them in concentration camps. Are you okay with that? You're okay with torturing children, but not giving them health care? Draining the water from the reflecting pools on the mall and turning it into a swamp is a perfect analogy for Trump's water. Yeah, you're still talking about the pool. Bob, YOU''RE. You are. You're. Get it straight. That's his second time, dude. Because we aren't at war with Iran when Obama gave it to them. Because we weren't. Yes, we didn't start a war with Iran. And we never ended up having to have one. Iran agreed to better terms than we have right now without starting a war. Which, by the way, the war that Trump waged against Iran needlessly cost a lot more than $7 billion. That's the thing that overlooked. The cost of the actual war is greater than what Obama gave them. Again, it's not just about the pull, it's about the corruption. And I care about the corruption. Perhaps the Mar-a-Lago pool boy wasn't the best choice. To be fair, it wasn't Mar-a-Lago, it was like some other things. And apparently the company does have some like they're more than just like a pool boy. But still, even if they were fully qualified, which, you know, I think that the actual occurrence of a shows they don't know what. But even if they did it right, even if the algae wasn't there, even if everything had gone according to plan, I don't want to have a government where the president of the United States gives contracts to his friends without any bidding. That's corruption. Election pool. Trump turds should go to the Orange Sphincter's waiting pond. It's puke green with flag blue hunks of dislodged paint floating on top. So bleep off. Oh, Bob is very, very adamant that the pool does not matter. But somehow he's really, really concerned about the fact that trans people exist. It's okay if Donald Trump is the most corrupt president in history. At least he hates trans people. Drop a thumbs up for this awesome stream. Subscribe if you're new. And share the link. Spread the word if you can, please. And thank you. And thank you, Skeeter. I'm terrible about this. Yes, if you are a first-time or a viewer or you've never heard of me, my name is Machine Pun Kelly. And go ahead and punch that like and subscribe. I'm terrible about reminding people to do that. Fake news, just another hater. What is the fake part? What am I saying that's fake or hateful for that matter? I mean, like, what is fake? Like, are you thinking that like all the images, all the people that have gone and seen it, Donald Trump himself is lying about it? Like, what is the fake part, Jerry? What is fake? This is what I mean. That's another one that's another like MAGA Tourette's thing. Fake news. I'm just going to start calling things out as MAGA Tourette's. The algae is fake. Yes, exactly. Who gives a flip? Apparently a lot of people give a flip that the president of the United States is sitting there using our tax dollars to make money for himself and his cronies. Best president of my lifetime. Were you born in 2024? I think that there is a make your argument. Go ahead. Bonkan, make your argument. Tell me why Trump is better than, say, Taft. What has he done? What has he accomplished? He's got one major piece of legislation, which kind of his tax cuts for the rich. Other than that, what has he done that's actually positive, that has helped you? Which, by the way, unless you are rich, which I'm not, what has he done that's helped you? How has he helped you? What has he done to make your life better? What makes him the greatest president? Go ahead, explain it. Okay. Well, there's plenty more to go look on. He's big on results. What results? What results is he big on? Show me his results. In the words of Tom Cruise, show me the money. Many people are saying Trump is afraid of algae because it sounds like algebra. That's why he lost the war and will soon be the United States of algae, also seem to be named Gulf of Algae. Although I don't agree, but thought was pretty funny, someone put a sign on a bridge that said, Trump can't even win a war against algae. So somebody says, you're a real funny creep, and spelled creep wrong. So this one, yeah, right. Poop results is all Trump is big on. Thank you for using the word poop. I am a monetized program, so I'm not allowed to swear. So if I, change a word you use when I'm reading it, it's because I can't use the profanity. Only Jesus is true. I don't know what that has to do with anything we're talking about. MAGA doesn't listen to facts. MAGA and facts are two entirely different. MAGA is just weird when it comes to facts. They live in a world where they are under such a bubble that anyone that disagrees with them, they think has a mental disorder. And they get these weird things like James Tallarico is transgender or whatever. I mean, like, just stuff that's like so obviously weird and wrong, but they just keep repeating it over and over again. They it's like all they can talk about is transgender people because they can't defend their own position on anything. Trump is somehow celebrating a complete failure. That's his entire life, if you think about it. He probably he probably thinks he's a great success for losing money on a bankrupt casino. Trump got bent over millions of barrels. He did. Iran, like this, like I said, it's the short of a deal. I agree. Iran is going to come back and bite us. That I can see. We did good by the Iranian people. I think it's another one of those things where I'm starting to see even Trump's base is starting to trickle off. I'm not saying it's eroding massively, and as you can see, there are still people that will come on here and they will defend to their death that Donald Trump is the greatest president in history. But there's a little bit going on, and I always think of it like a dam, and like how just one little hole, and then it becomes cracks, and then those cracks extend, and then the wall starts to break, and then it becomes rubble, and then just the whole river is cascading through. And I feel like we're in that cracks are starting to show phase of things. Like when you look at the presidential approval ratings, it's starting to get lower even than before or after January 6th. Like, he is the least popular he's ever been, which means some of his base is starting to erode. I think that's because of, one, the Iran war and his No New Wars pledge. I think it's part of it is the Epstein files. I think part of it is the connected to the war, gas prices and inflation are going up. And these are all things he promised he was going to improve, and he has made worse. And then there's people that are like looking at they're losing their health insurance. And what I would like to point out, it's not only Democrats that need Medicaid. MAGAs have this weird warped view that somehow they all work and then Democrats sit at home and want to live off of the taxes that the Republicans pay, which is just nonsense. It's such a weird view of the world. Anyway, lots of MAGAs. I mean, let me put it this way. If you live in a red state, you are more likely to be on Medicaid than if you live in a blue state. There is, per capita, there are more people on Medicaid in red states than there are in blue states. It's not just liberals. And it's some people are, 3-time Trump voters. And they're losing their insurance. And so you've got some people that are like, oh, now that it's happening to me. So that's another one. Then you've also got, because hospitals are starting to close because of the Medicaid cuts, there are people that are losing not necessarily their health insurance, but they're losing the hospital in their town. So there are people, I was watching an interview with a guy that had to drive 3 hours to get to his cardiac appointment because all the local hospitals in Iowa were shutting down. So anyway, I don't know how I agree Iran is going to come back. Yeah. So another just hollow comment. Trump is the best. Okay, how? Libs are still crying over the election. Nobody's talking about the election. Why did the FBI and the CIA and Pentagon release the Epstein list with all the crimes, but try to withhold Joseph Biden, Burisma files, and Hunter Biden Russia files? This is all very weird. I'm sorry, that's just too much conspiracy for one show. Trump was a man who wanted the best for USA in 2016. Was he? Was he? I disagree. 2024, he became, I think he was a politician from the beginning. Actually, he's never been a politician. He was a grifter in 2016. He was a grifter in 2020. He is a grifter in 2024. 2024. Trump, 2029. Not possible. It's funny. It's like what Democrats ought to start like promoting Mamdani for mayor or for president, even though he can't run, because apparently the Constitution is relevant to MAGA. I remember when Arnold Schwarzenegger won governor in California, and there was this big right-wing movement to change the Constitution so that Arnold Schwarzenegger could run for president. Maybe we should do that. Maybe we should start talking about Mamdani running for president, just to troll the right. None of them in this corrupt regime are politicians. Fact. This is just, I mean, there has never been anything remotely like this administration. No other president was selling pardons to drug traffickers. All Trump wanted was your money, and he got a lot of it. He's made billions of dollars just in his second term after just a year and a half. So now he says Trump 2028. Yeah, still can't happen. I agree with you. It's a toilet. But yeah, bad news. The party is just starting. LOL, a couple more years before the Dems lose. I don't know what that means. We'll see what happens. I mean, I have in 2009, a lot of people were talking about that was the end of the Republican Party when Obama won in a landslide, got 60 Senate seats, and won the House with a big, massive victory. Now MAGA is sitting there acting like the Democrats are dead because they have the slimmest, one of the slimmest House majorities in history. Donald Trump didn't even win a majority of the votes. Yes, he did win the popular vote this time, but he won with a plurality, not a majority, which means more people voted against him than for him. He got less than half the votes. That's what a majority means. All right. So. Okay. So LOL, typical liberal hive mind talking points. Typical MAGA Tourette's response. Just nothing there at all to address. MAGA Trump is the best Trump. Oh, whoops. What's going on here? The moron is this guy ranting. Illegal aliens was about them. LOL, 90% of the country wants them gone and to secure our elections. This is, yeah, those are, I mean, I don't know if any of that is true. I think you're 90% of the country does not want that. You're allowed to want that. Dems, oh, sorry, man, we got comments coming in fast. Okay. Biden was as bad too. No, he wasn't. Trump started a war that caused the price of gasoline and diesel fuel to skyrocket 50%. Yes, that's a fact. Obama was worse, 6 wars and killed 3 million children. This is just completely made up. He got I don't even know what that means. Hormusled? I don't know. Is that a typo? Is that the real word? I don't know what that means. All horse poop, dude, and pseudo intellectual rubbish. You have no leg to stand on. I don't care if Trump makes 10 trillion, as long as he's not doing his job, and just hurling insults is not really, I mean, you didn't say anything. MAGA will never be forgiven. Trump should not have got out of Afghanistan after Obama invaded it. Obama didn't invade Afghanistan. Bush did. Only an insane person would vote Democrats. Okay, that's an opinion. It's not true. True Ocons. I don't know what that is. Somebody said 8647. I don't want to get you arrested. So I'm not going to post that comment. Why would the federal government be sending food to children? That is a state thing. You don't know how SNAP benefits work? They send money to the states, and it's a run by the combination of the federal and the state government, and they cut SNAP funding. Trump trolls really have missed the bus, haven't they? They refuse to engage with real discussions. It just comes down to Democrats are stupid and Trump is great. Kind of like binary's words. I don't know what that means. It's funny because MAGAs are all for binary thinking. You either agree with Trump or you're wrong. I don't use the word maggots because I think that dehumanizing rhetoric is wrong. Even if I disagree with somebody, even if they're a MAGA Trump supporter, I am not going to dehumanize them. President Obama got us out of the Bush recession. He left the country much stronger, and he did. I mean, all the stuff they want to give credit to Trump for from his first term was actually just the Obama economy before Trump ruined it. Politicians are like the mob. I don't think that's true. I think there are a lot of politicians that are honest. The pool is worse. The pool is worse. Obama, first gay president? No, he's not. And it wouldn't matter if he was. Why is Democrats always hides their policy away? So I'm sorry, they're going so fast that I'm actually losing the I'm actually so far behind that the comments are disappearing before I can read them. Immigration, I don't know what that means. King Trump. It's funny. I've started a thing where I am going through and I am looking at all the presidents. Like, I've actually think that where does Donald Trump rank in history? And how would you know? Like, who's 23rd? You can't talk about who's first and who's last unless you know, like, what all the presidents have done. So I'm starting a series. You can subscribe if you want to look at it. And I put the intro video the other day, but it's the presidents, the good, bad, and ugly. So I'm going to be doing a short video, 3 short videos on each president, talking about the good things they did, the bad things they did, and the ugly things about, that are surround them. So, like, Bill Clinton and the Monica Lewinsky scandal would be an ugly thing, versus, like, he did some good things for the economy and he did some bad things that I don't agree with. Like, he, for his part, helped defend or helped to expand the presidential war powers, which I am consistent on. Like, some people think that Democrats it's only wrong when Trump does it, but it's only okay to them when Trump does it. Biden did not launder billions with Ukraine. That's just not true. Congress gave money to Ukraine. Yes, Congress approved it. Both parties suck. I think there's probably some truth to that, but I would say the Republican Party sucks a lot more than the Democrat Party. I don't vote the Green Party, even though I don't agree with everything the Democratic Party does, because like I said, we've got to look at it like chess players, not like idiots. And right now, women don't have the right to vote because some people on the left don't understand that we're playing chess. Immigration, LOL. Notice how he won't speak on immigration, but wants to talk about polls. Dude, I have done so many shows on immigration. I just am not getting distracted by your thing. We can talk about immigration again at a later date. Yeah, she always does. Trump is an arrogant, pompous, self-centered, egotistical ass. He'll go down in history as the great divider. And that's about the nicest thing you can say about him. Oh my God, where do these people come from? Do you have to be a Democrat to embarrass yourself on the internet? No, because you're doing it right now, Cheryl. Again, it's just, this is what you get. You get insults. You can't get somebody engaging on whether or not they're okay with Donald Trump giving a no-bid contract to his friend that ended up being 10 times the cost of what they said it would be, and then made the problem worse. Why can't you talk about the topic? Why can't you actually address that? Why can't you defend that? And it's because you can't. So you have to like talk about other stuff. I am a Christian. I don't need God in my life. Donald Trump is not God. Trans exist, but not real. That's an opinion. And it doesn't really matter. You're not allowed to decide for other people how they live their lives. Tell us about the polls again. Don't speak on immigration. It will destroy every point. No, it won't. I know more about immigration than you do. For sure, no one cares about trans or what they do. Then why are we making all these laws against them doing things? I'm not the one bringing it up. Oppressing trans rights to help me make ends meets. Yeah, right? It seems to be like, well, at least my hospital's closed, and if my wife starts having a miscarriage, then they're both going to die on the way to the hospital 4 hours away, but at least trans people can't use the women's bathroom. Trump is wasting billions every day on this war he can't end. It's happening now, not during Clinton, Obama, or Biden. Right. Like, it's like, but Biden, that's another one of those Obama or the MAGA Tourette's things. Everything is just like the same stupid talking points over and over again. It was returning their own money. I don't know what the laughy faces are. They literally bought weapons back before before the whole Iran hostage crisis. We held that money and we never gave it back. It is literally their money. I don't know why you think that's funny. What are we talking about? We're trying to talk about the reflecting pool and how that's a metaphor of Donald Trump turning DC into a swamp, and how he ran on draining the swamp, but then he just turned everything into a swamp. But, we got some MAGAs here that are on here trying to make it about weird things. They pay taxes. Yes, they do. Immigrants pay taxes. And it's not just federal taxes they pay. They pay sales taxes. They pay rent, which means they pay property taxes. Trump's policies do affect you. Whether you understand how they affect you or not is irrelevant. It's also kind of a selfish way of looking at things. Like, is it okay if Trump's policies end up causing your neighbor to die? They get 2 times. No, they don't. That's just made up. And also, the fact is, if you really want to know the truth, if the concentration camps that they're being held in were actual prisons, they would be in violation of the law. If they were for prisoners of war, they would be committing war crimes. Another white liberal, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Undocumented workers paid $100 billion in tax. Yes. I think I appreciate you pointing this out, Monica. Undocumented workers actually pay a lot more in taxes than they get from the government. And when you're talking about the money they receive very little. The only real way there's 2 things that happen where the MAGAs get all confused. One, there is a amount of money set aside that goes to people that don't have insurance, that pays their insurance if they go to the emergency room and they just don't have the money to pay for it. That's number one. That includes undocumented people, but they try to make it so that every single person that ever got help that way is undocumented, which is only a small percentage of them. That's number one. Number two is they conflate, and this is like Stephen Miller likes to do this one. They conflate undocumented immigrants with households that have an undocumented immigrant. So if an undocumented immigrant is married to an American citizen and their children are American citizens and they get SNAP benefits, then they try to make it sound like the entire household is undocumented immigrants. Whole bunch of Supreme Court rulings this week. Let's see how they go. Yeah, the birthright citizenship is coming up. And that one will be really interesting. I can't wait to see what they say. I hope they end up like actually agreeing with the Constitution. TDS says, wild, 2 leftists already arrested trying to destroy. No. TDS could just get away. A guy touched a piece of rubber that was floating after everything already happened, dude. Obama, we've already addressed that. Obama, what happened under Obama was addressing a different problem. The pool was sinking. They put 2x4s and stuff, and it was a different issue. You're the fake part. YOU''RE. Please, MAGA, learn how to use an apostrophe. I don't get the war on apostrophes. Why do you guys hate apostrophes? YOU''RE. Especially if you're going to use it in an insult. Honestly, I'm kind of bored with all the Iran headlines at this point. I'm just sitting here waiting for Greenland to finally become the 52nd U.S. state. Oh, after Canada, I assume, or is Iran going to be 51st? Okay. Leftists and the truth are 2 parallel lines. I don't even know what that means. Again, if I say anything that is factually wrong, feel free to correct me, but I have not said anything that's wrong. Trump is responsible for 30% of today's national debt. That's interesting. Sounds about right. I can't verify that personally. I haven't looked it up, but it sounds about right. Although there's some every president inherits the debt from the last person, which means they also inherit the interest on the debt from the last person. So, it's naturally going to accelerate. I look at whether presidents are increasing or decreasing the deficit, and Trump has increased the deficit every single year he's been president. Obama decreased the deficit every year he was president. Biden decreased the deficit. Because why does the right always talk about trans people? Because the alternative is actually to talk about Trump. Trump's a degenerate. I think that's what he is literally a adjudicated rapist. Obama did okay. What happened is the pool was sinking. There's different issues. There's like the algae issue, which goes back to like when it was first put in. The algae issue is actually sort of secondary. It had started to sink, like actually sink into the ground. And so under Obama, they went and they put 2x4s and stuff under it to raise it back up and even it back out again. That was an expensive project that went through Congress, got approval, went through the normal process and everything like that. He did not hire his buddy to do it badly and then blame it on vandals. Did your wife's boyfriend put you up to this? Why do you need to insult my wife? I don't even understand why you would do that. What kind of person does that? You don't even know her. Well, let's take a look at Obama stole my tax money. No, he didn't. He didn't steal your tax money for healthcare. It went through a regular legislative process. That's like me saying Donald Trump stole my money to kill school children in Iran. And Joe Biden told me I had to get a shot or lose my job. Well, only if you work for the federal government, and that is not unusual. It's not the first vaccine mandate in American history. First vaccine and mandate in American history was given by George Washington. And if he hadn't done it, we would have lost the revolution. Billionaires are the U.S. biggest welfare queens. Elon Musk has gotten more money from the federal government than anybody else in American history. He has gotten $38 billion from the American government. He has paid about half that in taxes. He has gotten twice as much money from the government as he has ever paid in taxes. Okay, MAGAs are the cult of double-digit IQ. IQ is meaningless to me. And I don't insult the actual intellect of MAGAs, but I call them stupid. And I want to distinguish what I mean when I say that. To me, you can be intelligent and stupid at the same time. If you refuse to actually engage with facts, if you refuse to process thoughts, you are being deliberately stupid. I'm not talking about an intellectual capacity here. I am talking about an intellectual willingness to engage with conversation. And you get all kinds of those things from MAGA. Alternative facts. Tell us more about facts. I don't know whether these people are. If I say something that you think is factually wrong, feel free to correct me. Release the Epstein files. We have perverts and felons running our country. Disgusting. It is so sad to me that we are this far along and not a single person has even been named, much less prosecuted, arrested, or investigated. Royce says, really, content is useless, like a fourth grader podcast. Okay. I'm sorry if it went over your head. You seem to forget that it was Trump that started that vaccine. Yes. And honestly, Operation Warp Speed is one thing I will give him credit for. He didn't invent the vaccine, but he actually did allow for them to run several aspects of testing for it at the same time. Rather than sequentially, they were done congruently so that the vaccine could be released sooner. And as a result, I think many, many lives were saved. So I'll give Trump credit for that. Just MAGA, for some reason, wants to pretend it never happened. Oh my goodness, get on with your life. I don't know if you're talking to me or why that is, but again, personal insults instead of actually chiming in with a fact. I don't know what alternative. I don't know if I'm the one with alternative facts or MAGA. Demon Rats spent $1 million in bringing in housing for. No, that's just vague yelling. There's nothing substantive there. And even if the Demon Rats were wrong, does that make Trump right? Trump is still okay. Sorry, I missed. One war starts in his term versus how many ended. He hasn't ended any wars and he started two. Biden ended one and didn't start any. My life is a failure, apparently. Yeah, Trump ain't done nothing. And that's a bleeping good thing. I'm MAGA and proud of it. Quit making up your lies about the right. You leftists are sick. The truth hurts. Then why won't you engage with the truth? Why not? Tell me what lie I have told, Norm. You're calling a billionaire a loser? I didn't call a billionaire a loser. I just pointed out a fact that Elon Musk has gotten more money from the government than he has paid in taxes. Trump is a typical Republican starting another war. They know he's a failure. They're just too cowardly to admit it. And I think that's it. I think that's why they just retreat to this sort of, nah. You know, that's what it's like talking to a MAGA. They stick their fingers in their ear and then they just yell stuff. But Biden, trans women. They don't want to hear things that they don't agree with. So they just yell out stupid things that have nothing to do with what you're talking about. Do you think Democrats will ever get the White House again without cheating? I don't think they've ever gotten the White House by cheating. And yes, I think that in 2028, the Democrats will get the White House. I don't know if you'll admit it, but Obama didn't cheat. Biden didn't cheat. It's just such a silly thing. Why is it that Donald Trump only loses elections while he is president if Democrats are using the gears of the election process to cheat? Why is it he always loses when he's the president? I don't know it all, but that doesn't mean I don't know what I do know. Feel free to correct me. I've been corrected on this show before. I'm always happy to be corrected because I'm always happy to learn. But just, this is not an argument, Billy. This is an admission you don't have one. Please don't confuse Trump with the rest of the Republican Party. And I think that's a fair assessment, mostly. Like, I don't think that you can equate the two. And I think right now there's some actual Republicans in the in the Senate that are starting to push back a little bit. But I also think there are a lot of people that were Republicans who now have left the Republican Party because they can't abide with Trump and what the Republican Party is becoming. The Nazi Party was originally a socialist party. Hitler turned it into something else. You know, like people be like, oh, National Socialist Party, as though like to prove that Hitler was socialist. Hitler is no more a socialist than Trump is a Republican or a conservative. He just took over a party and then reshaped it in his ideology. Same as Trump. Hi, normal person here. Your subscriber count isn't high enough for your opinion to matter. You look old enough. You should know what a diary is. Go use one. Okay. That sounds like a perfectly normal thing to say. Name one person you know that's MAGA. You don't. Name one. My brother-in-law. Can't listen to this. Okay, well, thanks. Bye, Norman. I hope you have a nice life. Just the observation of an outsider, you must admit from the copious amount of evidence that many millions of Americans are ignorant, ill-informed, poorly educated. Yeah, well, 76 million people voted for Trump. That's a lot of evidence. A lot of that is idiots that are racist. Trump proved there was no cheating during the 2020. And there was no. And here's the thing about the whole cheating thing. Is it's like anybody that ever talks about cheating, they never talk about the actual mechanism by which this cheating carried out. Like who organized it? Like what? Like the Green Bay sweep, which was Trump's attempt to steal the election, was actually articulated by one of the architects of it. That was an attempt to steal the election. It wasn't just January 6th. It was the entire operation from Donald Trump holding the rally to Donald Trump sowing the lies. It was part of an operation. People say January 6th was an insurrection. No. January 6th was the tip of the spear of the insurrection. The rest of the spear exists. You got a public job. He's only using his presidency to rip off Americans. He's skimming off the top on every. The corruption from Trump is at a level that is just unprecedented. So just, if you, by the way, if you're watching for the first time, whether you like me or not, want to come back, don't forget to hit subscribe. Heritage Foundation is run government, shiny objects. Yes, well, they've named 3 of the last, 4 Supreme Court justices and would name any more. Shiny objects are appalled by the corruption. I agree. I mean, it's factual. Donald Trump pardoned the leader of or the CEO of Binance, who was convicted of laundering money for the drug cartels. And then after he was pardoned, Trump create that is like on a scale that is hard to fathom. Hunter Biden sold a painting and MAGA lost their nuts. Gas prices were over $4 under Biden with Strait of Hormuz open. Yes, but gas prices were open under Biden because of the Russia invading Ukraine, which also disrupted the world's oil supply. It was just disrupted in a different way. It wasn't because of Biden. It just Biden happened to be president while somebody else did another thing. It was over 4 gallons Iran and caused the disruption to the world's oil supply. There's some more stuff that went into it under Biden, but none of it had anything to do with Biden. There was some of it had to do with OPEC and how much oil they were producing. And some of it had to do with the fact that we were reopening, and so all of a sudden the demand went way up, and production. When the president is something, everything that happens in the world is not a direct result of that person being president. Easy way of thinking. Trump proved the 2020 elections weren't rigged. Interesting. Well, Trump, the person that was in charge of elections, his person that was in charge of elections said that it was that there wasn't any corruption. His attorney general looked into and said there wasn't any corruption. His administration said there wasn't any corruption. And there's never been shown to be corruption. It's what Fox right-wing propaganda tells them, and they believe it. Trump, 80 years old. He's almost dead. You're an idiot. Come on, ketchup. There is no such thing as a blue state. There are only blue cities. You're one of those people that thinks land votes, don't you? Like, so I live in. Anyway, what a weird comment. People live in cities. American people are billionaires. I don't know. Everything that comes out of Trump's mouth is lies. He's got the longest Pinocchio. If Donald Trump said the sky is blue, I would run outside and see what happened to the sky. He is, I mean, it's like I like to say, if fool me once, on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 35,000 times, I be a Trump supporter. How many times does that man have to lie to you before you start realizing he's a liar? 11, 14, 24, gas was at 229-ish. With releasing the oil reserve, of course, the Republicans won't understand the difference. But but in Trump's case, starting the war draws a straight line in terms of that is the mechanism. It's like, it's funny if you listen to Republican polemic and, you know, the Trump administration, they will talk about the war started. Since the war started, never say we started the war as though they're them. Donald Trump started the war. Donald Trump did more to directly cause the price of gas to go up than any president in American history. The media, I have never seen an article that says Iran is winning. I mean, this is just more. I think sometimes MAGA media, that actually engages with reality. I haven't seen anybody say that Iran is winning. I do see Iran is better off now than they were under the Obama deal, because they objectively are. I don't know what the dollars are. The billions are not from America, but potential. Who taxpayers? Apparently, it might be American companies. The billion, because they said that like half of it they already had raised. But what, you know, who is that and what they're? But there's nothing stipulating where that has to be spent. So wherever it came from, where it goes, what matters. So if it goes to Hezbollah, if it goes to Hamas, and there's nothing to prevent Iran to keep funding these proxies. Trump may be a crook, but he stole his money before he got in the office. Oh no, he's stealing money while he's in office. And there's no evidence that that Biden or Obama or did that. It's just, and it's so like, can you honestly just discuss Trump without a whataboutism? And just, this is just sloppy, Billy. This is a sloppy argument. You're just smearing everybody but Trump to defend Trump by admitting that he's corrupt. Stupid enough to pick sides, you're an idiot. It's the people that pick a side based on believing lies Trump told are the idiots. 2028, Vance is done. I'm sorry. This Iran deal is a stake through his heart. No, we're crying over gas, food prices, another war, the White House being demolished, hospitals closing, children going without food, while Donald Trump spends like millions and millions of dollars on vanity projects, half-naked men sitting there beating each other unconscious in front of the White House, and then coming over and okay, right now there's a lot of sort of, the strait was completely open, free of tolls. This idiot decided to attack Iran for Netanyahu. Iran will forever this to shake us down. Yet now they know they can do it and get away with it. We didn't know that before. We didn't know, you know, if they would do it. Everybody thought they might, and that was one of the big things. And apparently it's actually it's not that you're starting to see cracks. You're seeing he has the lowest approval rating of his entire presidency between the first and second terms. And that's been consistent. Yeah. Billy, good counter there. Billy said, if you pick a side, you're well, okay, then don't vote. Because if you vote, you're picking a side. And if and he changes party and runs for president, now he's a criminal. And he wasn't, I mean, like whether I don't know if he was a Democrat. I don't care. I don't care what he did. I care what he's wrong disliking of Trump. Monica, every society Trump has tried to enter since the 70s NYC society, the NFL, Hollywood, the only ones to are two Ted pedos and MAGA. And what's his name? Kid Rock. Whatever happened to the tariff wars we were promised? What do you mean happened to him? He put tariffs on. What do you mean? What happened? Are you like how? Like honestly asking or what? But that's what happened. Is they ended up getting struck down by the Supreme Court. Democrats are evil, corrupt. Well, that's again, MAGA Tourette's, just saying stuff. TDS and black fatigue are real. I don't even know what black fatigue is supposed to mean, but TDS and black fatigue are not real. I'm sorry, I don't understand what the question is. Democrats rule. I don't, in a lot of ways, I don't talking about Democrats or Republicans. I prefer using the legal standards to get contracts. It's not just about the reflecting pool. It's not even primarily about the reflecting pool. I think an irony there that he turned it into swamp. MAGA voting to lose balance as long as they like lose. Yes, making billions. With guy, one of the things is like people are upset about the concentration camps, taking the warehouses and whatnot and turning them into concentration camps. And for these concentration camps, but just not in my backyard. He literally not in my backyard. Like I'm not even exaggerating. He's not in my. It's MAGAs are just like they are fine with dehumanizing people, and they are fine with Trump is dying right before eyes. Okay, I'm going to refrain from commenting. because I don't want to get myself in trouble. Whatever happened to Canada destroying our economy? Nobody said that. No. What they said is that it's going to help. Canada stopped selling American whiskey. And Canadians stopped buying American products. No foreigners should be in our government. Look at Omar. Omar is not a foreigner. Omar is an American citizen. Please tell me the White House into a swamp. He is the swampiest president of all the presidents in American history. And there's not even a close second. There's not even a distant second. That's not. He sold a pardon to a convicted drug cartel leader. Yeah, he's the one that is making it a swamp. If you don't know that, then that is your lack of curiosity, your lack of trying to actually learn things. But yeah, Donald Trump created the swamp. That is not Trump's fault. This is what has been to welcome, whatever. The Matrix is a fiction movie. DT wants $1 billion in tax dollars to build a ballroom bunker to protect the DC swamp. The only way the president can be safe and have events is if we have the ballroom. Then he has this stupid UFC fight just weeks later where he is literally proving that they don't need the ballroom to have it safely. Hate suffer. I don't know what you meant by that. Reconstruction to Jim Crow to Trump. Lala is so full of, I don't know. It's actually, dude, keep up. Donald Trump is saying it's going to cost $1 billion. Oh my God, people, read on what Fox News tells you. It's $1 billion. I just watching. I was watching, did you see Michelle's speech? And Obama, does his very elegant, tearing up, wiping from his eyes. And Melania giving a speech about Donald that's so and moving that it causes Trump to tear up. Because I can't. Anti-Semitic, no apprehension of reality at all. We invaded Afghanistan before anybody Obama was. Other presidents are an idiot. Drink. BBB hurts working class benefits. Wealthy. Yes. That's right. They just. How Fauci got dragged into this. The comments are kind of going faster than I can read them. And then it's like the current Democrat point statement, another case of MAGA Tourette. Again, I'm posting as many of these comments as I can, and you notice none of them actually engage in silly Campbell's incoherent. I'm out. Dude, the one that and Khan has a decent bone in his body. Trump is a weak man. Insane people elected this insane man in the White House. Dems think with brain. Can you hear me? Well, I can read you. Please go through and count for me what policies that are better than, say, Social Security. I don't think my mic is working. You shouldn't be heard. Like I don't know why you, anyway. Republicans and conservatives, when they have power, to take things away from working people. Yes. I don't know how much more clear you can get. Like if you every single metric economics shows that there is a increasing divide between the haves and the have-nots, and that it has been perpetuated by more than any president in history. And that, which, by the way, is why Reagan is not number 2. The Democratic Party is a domestic terrorist organization. What? Proof of this? Hi, Harry. How you doing? So, we won again. America won. Australia. Past the knockout round, or like to the next round. The round of 30. Like if they got to the top 16, I'd be pretty happy. Because that doesn't happen very often. If they got to the final 8, that would be amazing. Oh, women have the right to vote, but apparently Republican women don't want it. There was a thing where like a bunch of Republican women said that we should. You're a gaslit moron. I don't know who Lily is or what that. Sorry. Trump is Satan himself, and his two Putin face Putin and Nancy from Israel. Trump first and second. Sorry, Sandy. I don't know what thought you're trying to convey there, other than Trump is Satan. Are you a boomer? No, I'm a Gen X. Blaming the foreigner for Americans' problems. So, age-old strategy. Melania Trump is a foreigner by his definition. Democrats need to let Americans worry about America. I am an American. Stop using Americans and Democrats as two different sets of people. Americans can be Democrats. Americans can be Republicans. Americans can be independents. Americans can be all kinds of things. Stop equating your very, very isolated, ill-informed version of history and version of what America is with America. I am just as American as you are. You looked it up, but you didn't look it up. It's not a lie. It's true. Red states have a higher rate of Medicaid. I'm not a boomer, and I'm not really obsessed with Trump. You're obsessed with Trump. The people who have to defend Trump, no matter what he does, no matter how many crimes he's committed, those are the ones that are obsessed with Trump. I just actually love my country and want to see somebody that is not cashing in off of selling pardons to drug dealers in charge of it. Didn't demand $200 billion for a stupid war in Iran. To be fair, neither did Trump. Trump gave him $300 billion. Obama didn't demolish the East Wing so he could introduce the ballroom. Obama didn't defend rural hospitals didn't defund rural hospitals across the country. Obama built a basketball. Yes, Obama paid for the basketball court when she built, and he just built a small basketball court on the existing tennis court and then changed it back before he left. Obama didn't refund defund SNAP benefits for people who need it. Obama didn't sign executive orders ordering the DOJ to go after people. No. And anyway, Harry isn't even American, and he knows more about American politics than most of MAGA who claims they want to make America great again. If you want to make America great again, how about you start learning about America? Start with learning what America really is. The problem is not that it's the painting of it. That's okay. The painting amplified made the algae problem worse, but to me the real problem is not the painting or the not painting or the algae. To me, the core problem is going and giving this contract, a no-bid contract, to his friends. I have an opinion. Illegal immigrants do not pay taxes. That may be an opinion, but it is a debunked opinion. Illegal immigrants do pay taxes. They pay Social Security taxes. Some of them paid Social Security taxes legally. There's a different kind of number they get that pays into Social Security. It's like $100 billion a year or something. But they also pay sales taxes. Like an illegal immigrant doesn't go and buy, a table or whatever, and then there's a 8% local sales tax on it. They don't go, I'm here illegally, so I don't have to pay that tax. Yes, illegal immigrants pay taxes. And one of the most ignorant things that people can say is that they don't pay taxes. That is so, it is like, just Google it. Many studies in Europe that show only certain immigration is a net positive. I don't care. Lots of fraud. I mean, like, you want to talk about a specific study and whatever, but this kind of vague reference to studies in other parts of the world is irrelevant. I don't know why we're talking about immigration anyway. Lots of fraud in SNAP. No, there's not. Working age and capable folks were using, yeah, and that's legal. That's allowed. But again, Jerry, I would just advise you to learn what you're talking about before you start talking. Just repeating debunked MAGA talking points. There is a limit. I want to say it's 6 months for 3 years that you're allowed to be on SNAP at all. And there are people that are on SNAP benefits because, like they got laid off or something. It's literally called, in economics, that they refer to things like SNAP benefits as a, what's the word? An automatic stabilizer. And automatic stabilizers are like when the economy starts going into recession, people lose jobs. And so we have automatic stabilizers to stabilize the economy automatically so that you don't have to run and pass a bunch of legislation to take care of people. And that's like, you get laid off, then there is this backup that helps make sure that your kids still eat. So yeah, some people that are working, and some people that are working Americans, their people that are paying them aren't paying them enough money. And so that helps. Like, please learn what you're talking about. This is all very, very easy to learn, and it would take like 2 minutes to like actually look it up and learn something. Jerry, there is always fraud in the government. You can't get rid of it. You can just minimize it, and it's the only thing you should do is to refund the entire system because of minority abuse. And we're talking about a very small percentage of people that are convicted of fraud for it. Most of the times, the people that are convicted of fraud are not actually people that are using it. Only certain immigration is a net positive. Well, that's a declarative statement that has absolutely no basis in reality. That's all they pay, not income tax. They do pay income tax. A lot of them do. They pay federal taxes. And that's, I mean, like, please just look it up. I've actually had whole shows dedicated to just this, and I don't want to get derailed. But no, what you are saying is not true. You can look it up. Don't make me do your homework for you. Obama never tore anything down. He added no, the tennis court was already there. And then he made he turned the part of a tennis court that pre-existed into a basketball court and then fixed it. And he paid for that with his own money. He did not pay for that with tax money. He didn't, let private donors pay for it. He paid for it himself. And this is a lot. Like, every president has little tweaks to the White House. They don't tear down half of it and then charge taxpayers $1 billion to build a ballroom. Like, there's such a huge, this is like such a false equivalence and such a lazy argument. I get so, I think the person that I'm talking to actually agrees. He's defending Obama, but it's such a dumb thing to argue. Like, no, I'm sorry. You can't equate Barack Obama paying to add a basketball court to the tennis court with Donald Trump tearing down like over 100 years of history and rebuilding this monstrosity. 75% of Somalians are on benefits. No, they aren't. That's a lie. Don't you think you know what you are talking about? I do know what I'm talking about with immigration. You don't know what you're talking about. It makes no sense the illegal immigrant would commit more crime than legal with the threat of deportation waiting for them. And it's also why they don't vote. I checked. He's right about immigration. Monica says 35 million. I don't know what 35 million means. King Trump forever. It's funny. I was thinking about, because I was telling you about how I'm doing this series on presidents, and George Washington's first one. And one of the really amazing things about George Washington, if you've never thought about it, he basically invented the job. Like, not only was he the first president of America, he was like the first president of a republic. Like, he didn't have any template to go off of. And he could have been king. He said, no, we don't want kings here. And you think about that, and in its time, it's pretty amazing. And, like having a cabinet and retiring after 2 terms, and like he's the one that so many of the things that he established are what we still do today. But George Washington could have been a king and chose to be a president. Donald Trump could have been a president and chose to be a king. He is the inverse of George Washington. Today's old people are definitely stupid and would shame my grandmother who passed away 30 years ago. Okay. I don't know what old means. And I don't know who you're referring to. But Donald Trump is pretty stupid. And he's old. You have a bad case of TDS, MAGA Tourette's, King Trump forever, MAGA Tourette's. Okay. Better just ban everyone that says you got TDS. They're a waste of time. It's like, I have a couple of I need to make Harry a monitor, but I have a couple of people that are monitors. I actually don't stream. I might end up having to block some people. I don't like blocking people, but I mean, there are some people that just have no, you know, desire to engage with reality. So, like when Russell says TDS is totally real, it's not totally real, unless you're talking about people that defend Trump after he lied to them for 35,000 times. Like, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, no, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 35,000 times, I must be a Trump supporter. That's the real Trump derangement syndrome. The real Trump derangement syndrome is still believing crap Trump says. Because you have to be deranged to believe anything he says at this point. You overfunded Ukraine, admit it. No, I don't admit things that are not true. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean or what it has to do with Donald Trump. When they move next to you, but actually, I have all kinds of friends who are not here legally. I'm not afraid of illegal immigrants. I'd be much happier. I mean, fortunately, my neighbors are here legally and American citizens, and they're nice people. And most of my neighbors are Democrats, and I'm much happier with if a MAGA moved in here, if a MAGA moved next door, I don't know if I'd feel as safe. I don't see how Iran is an imminent threat to the United States, to Israel, maybe. It's not an imminent threat to the United States. It never has been. It's all a lie. Luke's going to say Biden gave Ukraine $350 billion for nothing in return. Probably something stupid. But Congress approved money that was given to Ukraine to keep them from, to allow themselves to defend themselves against an invasion. It's called Trump devotional. Oh, sorry, I lost your comment there. MAGAs are loud, persistent, but do not believe evidence is necessary to back up what they say. Right. It's like well, prove me wrong. Circles have right angles. No, they don't. Prove me wrong. MAGA is making the world a better place. I voted for Colombia to go away from socialism. Today they vote are good to go. MAGA, nice. What a weird thing to say. You think that Colombia's job should be to make America great again? What is your opinion on birthright citizenship? I think that it's in the Constitution. And that's it. That's the whole of the conversation. There's some people that want to confuse what it is with, with this language about, sovereign, like swearing allegiance. You know what? Like there were all kinds of American citizens that were born here, and it's not like their parents had to swear allegiance before their children were American citizens. They were just assumed to be American citizens. This whole allegiance thing, what it was is that sometimes you have, like my dad was a diplomat. I lived in Liberia. When I lived in Liberia, I was not subject to the laws of Liberia because I had diplomatic immunity. That's what it's referring to. Who cares what I think? My wife does. Spanish flu originated from a U.S. military base, but let the soldiers decide if they want a vaccine or not. LOL. Hexeth. Oh yeah. So there was a big flu outbreak that when I was in the Air Force, Lackland, everybody in the Air Force goes through Lackland. And so he made this thing about, you don't need a vaccine unless you decide to do it. And so a bunch of military people decided they're not going to get the vaccines, and now they got the flu instead of the vaccines. One of them died. Go Pete Hegseth. Not like George Washington. Like George Washington required vaccines. We won the revolution because of it. Operation Bananarama. I don't know what that means. Stupid Americans admire billionaires without investigating how one becomes billionaires. He took too many vaccines. I love it when people insult my intelligence with grammatical errors. That would be 2 O's in how many vaccines I took. Trump lost in Iran. Trump, I would frame it slightly differently. I would say that Iran is better off under the Trump deal than they were under the Obama deal. What's up, V Joe? Why? I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. Positive. Diaper Don pooped his pants and lost. I predict within a year, no one will be. It's like, you know how it was like this when Bush was president, and you'd have all these people. Why can't you just support our president? And they would act like George W. Bush was like the greatest president ever. Like people would say that same stuff. Now I can't find anybody that voted for Bush. In-N-Out cheeseburger serving up fake horse meat poop. All right. I am not a fan of In-N-Out. Just want to point that out. Taco lost another war. Taco man. You know that Trump is the taco man. Thankfully, I didn't poop hard turbo crapping in my pants. Now we're really lots of rails. It's rigged when they lose, not rigged when they win. Pathetic traitors. All right, how far behind am I? Oh my goodness, I'm like 45 minutes behind. Sorry, guys. See, that's what you can't read every single comment because. But I try to get, democracy comes from Greek and means the power of the people. The United States is not a democracy. Okay, do you know what a etymology fallacy is? An etymology fallacy is when you use the root of a word to, like say this is what it means, and it's not what it means. There are different forms of democracy. One form of democracy is a republic, where people vote to elect people to make the decisions for them. There is a direct democracy, which is people voting directly. We live in a democratic republic. This thing, we're a republic, not a democracy. No, we are a republic and a democracy. We are a Republican form of democracy. But so I'm sorry, but that's the United States is not a democracy because it is governed by an elite of super wealthy individuals, not the people. That part I'll agree with. And because the super wealthy people, by and large, decide who's running and who's not. And Republic stands for thing of the people. Why is everything a comparison Biden? Because then if they can say what about Biden, then they don't have to actually address that the thing that Trump is doing is either stupid, corrupt, counterproductive, or wrong. You live in, are you serious? You live in Elgin? Teresa, that is awesome. I live over near downtown, near Alamo and South Avenue A. That's cool. Keep voting for Republicans. No. And the Dems are so honest, right? Fraud. Okay, the Democrats aren't committing fraud in Minnesota. A woman and a few people committed fraud in Minnesota. Just because Minnesota is a state that Democrats won and there's fraud there does not mean that the Democrats are responsible for the fraud. The same way that the fraud in Texas is not the Republicans' fault. Do you think that the only fraud is in the blue states? Dude, open your brain. What a weird statement. They understand it's just that facts don't fit their narrative. How much Netanyahu pay him to bomb Iran? I would like to see what happens. After years from now. I'm wondering why we really decided to start this. Whose decision it was. and why? Like, what really went into the actual decision? Because there's no question that Iran was never an imminent threat. Like, that is just totally not true. It wasn't to prevent Iran from attacking us. Or keep voting for Republicans for a dystopian nightmare of the future. It's the dystopian nightmare of right now. We have people being arrested for posting pictures of seashells. The United States went through the same thing as Rome. It started as a republic and ended, as of now, a decadent empire. Some similarities there. Get lost, little brainwashed King Trump traitor. Tell us how you really feel. Why is everything compared to Biden? Y'all realize we've had 5 presidents, plenty of other guns for your republic to hate on. Vote out complicit Republicans. We will have to save America ourselves. Every empire has its end, and the United States empire has come to an end. It's either going to come to an end or it's going to have to like pivot. You don't have anything else to talk about, do you? You keep sobbing. Do you see anybody sobbing? I just noticed, like, if you talk about the wrong things Trump does, then okay, that's like another one of those MAGA Tourette's things. Oh, yeah, you just talk about Trump all the time. You know, like the people that had, you know, let's go Brandon signs in their front yard, all of a sudden it's like, oh, if you don't have a life if you criticize the guy that is like literally destroying the White House and turning Washington, D.C. into a swamp. When 2 people watching, what is... I'm sorry, I've got a lot more than 2 people watching. I think there are 2 YouTube streams. One is like the landscape one, and one is the profile version, like the shorts version. As you can see by the fact that there are more than 2 people whose comments I am reading, there are a lot more than 2 people watching. Okay, you can always tell who's glued to the TV programming box. One can see how well Operation Mockingbird is working on these brainwashed wannabe liberals. I bet you have no clue what I just wrote. I don't, because I don't pay attention to your conspiracies. Whataboutism is the latest refuge. Voting is done. Stay tuned in, and we will follow the evil masters of the world. Read the American aggression in Iran. Regarding the American aggression in Iran, Iran may not have won, WON, I think, but common Americans definitely have lost. Yeah, we have lost, if nothing else, billions of dollars and 13 lives of American patriots. China lost the Iran war and their cheap oil. I don't know what the heck you think this has to do with China. Actually, China has benefited from the Iran war. I'd rather watch UFC on the lawn. They gay crap like... Oh, goodness gracious. We are America, not China. Get real, Jerry. Most of the country does. We are the leaders, show. Why do Americans vote along party lines instead of the best candidate? Because we have a system where the best candidate may not have any chance at all of winning. And this is like, it's a chess checkers. It's like the chess game thing that I keep talking about. You have to, like, there are only 2 people that are going to win the election, the Republican or the Democrat. Anything else is like, you're entitled. I don't say that, you know, like you're throwing away your vote or anything. But I think people should like think things through. There are consequences. Elections have consequences. Right now, we're dealing with the consequences of people who didn't like Kamala Harris because she was not strong enough against Israel. Now, I just want you to think about that. Kamala Harris would not have started a war with Iran that allowed Israel to attack Lebanon and the other half of the Palestinian people. So if you're concerned about the Palestinian people are worse off because you refuse to vote for Kamala Harris. That's an objective reality. You don't care that the Bushes, okay, it's Bushes, ES, not Bushes. Bushes, it's not a possessive thing. Clinton's, again, it's not. You don't care about the Bushes, Clintons, Obama, Biden, Kamala. We're all part of the satanic cabal to destroy freedom. No, I just think that's something you made up. The Zion elitist, the Zionist, oh yeah, we're not reading anti-Semitic stuff. Skull and Bones, look it up, Jerry. MAGA is ridiculous. Their brains are washed out. I was joking with Mary, my wife, and it's like that. We ought to. It's not that they're brainwashed; they're brain muddied. All this mud just gets pumped into their brain every day, and they think that the mud is reality. They need be washed with reality. Many, both sides involved. You're stupid. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Both sides are not the same. Neither side is perfect, but both sides are not the same. I know, buddy. 2 decades ago, I felt, yeah, whatever. Trump is the Epstein files of thousands of times, and we haven't even seen all of them. Is in the, yeah. I don't like, you'd think that we should be able to agree on something like people that rape children and pay money for the right to rape children, or for for children to rape. Like, maybe paying people money for children to rape should just be prosecuted regardless of who you are, how much money you have, how much power you have. I don't care if it was British royalty or an American president. I don't care if it was Donald Trump or if it was Bill Clinton. We need people arrested. Like, paying people money to rape children is wrong. I don't know how much more emphatic I can get than that. Trump is a puppet of Zionism in Israel. Trump is not, I don't know if he's a puppet of Zionism in Israel. I mean, I don't know why we need to get anti-Semitic there. He's kind of anti-Semitic himself. But no, I think he's just a grifter that's trying to cash in. MAGA is a rich cult to keep America in power. Obama spent $1 million on the reflecting. No, it looked a lot better. I believe we're going to give everybody in Iran medical, housing, and food. I don't know why you believe that, because we're taking in housing and food, and we're taking away medical care and food from American citizens. You think, I don't know what makes you think we're going to start giving them to Iran. It's possible, or is he playing a master? No, he's not. Like, let's stop trying to, make it sound like Donald Trump is some sort of genius that's, like next level chess. He's just an idiot doing idiot things. It's like the whole thing with the pigeon, like you're playing chess with a pigeon, and then he craps on the board and knocks over all the pieces. That's not like a genius chess move. That's just crapping on the board and wiping out all the pieces. That's what Donald Trump does. We don't need to try to find the genius behind it. Did Trump really give Iran $340 billion to Joe Biden? Joe release? I don't know what Trump. The memorandum of understanding says that Iran gets $300 billion. I don't know what Joe and Epstein files. I don't know what that's all about. Oh, I see. You're saying did Trump give Iran $340 billion to not release the Epstein files? I haven't heard that. I don't know how Iran would have the Epstein files. The Creature of Jekyll Island. Who's read it? I have not. No, Trump didn't give money to Iran. The memorandum of understanding says that Iran is getting $300 billion. It doesn't specify how that money is supposed to be spent. He is getting played like any other older president we've had. It's possible, but he doesn't strike me as one to not be in charge. Yeah, well, being in charge and being competent are not the same thing. If you want to try to be a responsible citizen, you have to listen to both sides and determine what is really going on by yourself. I think you have to weigh, all of the, and like it's even saying if you want to be a responsible citizen, you have to listen to both sides. Like learn about, I learn about the subject and then make opinion based on what's going on. Then decide which side you agree with. Like make your decision and shape your understanding regardless of what the two sides say. I think one of the problems is we feel like we have to go in and defend or attack based on which side says what. Let's stop making all the conversations about the sides. Like immigration is an incredibly complex and nuanced topic. And most people don't even learn about immigration. They just either say open borders or, I don't know. There were never open borders. Canada, all 40 measly. I don't know why we're making fun of I don't know what this is about. I know I'm I'm gotten way behind. Okay. The left is a cult and they're being, this is like Donald Trump is comparing himself to Jesus Christ, calling himself the most powerful man in the history of the world. And you're worried about the left being a cult? Omar is from Somalia, not America. No, but she is an American citizen. Melania Trump. Is Melania Trump a foreigner? Do we need to get rid of her? Presidents come and go. MAGA are the American. There's let me see something here. Okay. Bernie Moreno. He's a senator, Republican senator who came from Colombia. Juan Cisomani was born in Mexico, and he's a representative from Arizona. Carlos Jimenez was born in Cuba, and he's a representative in Florida. Young Kim was born in South Korea, and he's represents California. And Victor Spartz is a Republican from the Ukraine, and he represents a district in Indiana. So this, I don't understand this fixation that Republicans have with Omar and Somalia, other than they're racist. Like when this is just racist psychobabble. I vandalized the White House Federal Building, or Trump did. Trump vandalized the White House Federal Building. I don't have to listen to proven liars. I don't know what. I don't know the proven lie. I don't know who you're saying is a proven liar. There is going to be a blue FUD. Are you saying I'm a proven liar? Then prove I'm lying. Feel free to prove that I'm lying about something. This, anyway, the swamp was there. He made it worse, both metaphorically and literally. And he spent all of this money on the reflecting pool, making it worse by giving a no-bid contract to his pal. That is swamp. That is the swamp right there. That's the thing that you're allegedly worried about. And Yeah, you can't point to Biden doing something like that, or Obama, or Clinton, or Carter. There is going to be a blue flood that goes all the way across the country, and his minions are going to wonder why, because they don't understand reality. I think that the minions won't, but I think there are people that are Republicans in Congress and the Senate that are starting to feel that. I really believe James Tallarico could win. Like if Texas elects a blue or a Democratic senator, that will tell you a lot. I think that the Democrats have a real chance at taking the Senate back. The House is for sure. Like that's not even with all Trump's attempts at gerrymandering. And I think that some of those could backfire. There's something called dummy mandering, where you gerrymander by taking votes away from one safe district and putting them in another district that kind of shifts the balance. But dummy mandering is what happens if you move too many people away from that, and then there's a big swing, and you end up losing both districts in the process. I think there's a real chance of that happening in Texas. I live in Texas. There are a lot of Texans that voted for Trump that are not happy. Obama spent millions and looked like crap. No, you keep saying that, but it's not true. Dwight D. Eisenhower warned us Fauci is the swamp. Dwight D. Eisenhower said that Fauci is the swamp. What a weird thing to say. Fauci, I don't know how Fauci became like the object of so much hatred from the right. Obama at least only targeted terrorist leaders, not pardoning them. Yes. The creature of Jekyll Island. Who is the creature of Jekyll Island? So that's not like so I'm just (1994) book by American author and conspiracy theorist Edward J. Griffin. The title refers to that's Federal Reserve conspiracy nonsense. All right, yeah, I'm familiar with the whole Federal Reserve stuff. My MAGA brother-in-law is always yelping about that stuff. Anyway, there is no perfect man. No, nobody is arguing that anybody should be perfect. But can you honestly address Donald Trump's flaws? Like, there's a difference between being perfect and pardoning drug dealers. Why are you a liar? By a liar. Liar. She corrected herself. She's asking Todd. The ballroom is not paid by tax. It is. Again, we've been through this. Todd, do a Google search. They're asking for $1 billion from Congress to pay for the ballroom. Yeah, I mean, Obama is like the opposite of Trump. He is so elegant. I always think of like Obama, like lived part of his life in poverty as a child. And Donald Trump was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He was given hundreds of millions of dollars by his dad. And Obama is a far, far classier person than Donald Trump could ever be. It just proves that money and class are not the same thing. You can have all the money in the world and not a lick of class like Elon Musk. And you can have almost no money at all and be extremely classy. Having class is all depends on how you treat other people. You're talking about people that protect pedophiles. Of course they have no morals. I mean, like that is, I mean, and look, I am not a big fan of Nancy Mace or Marjorie Taylor Greene, but at least they had a line that said, yeah, we don't protect pedophiles. Like I disagree with all kinds of stuff. And I think they're both hateful people They both have to like destroy trans people, and I really, really dislike them. But I will at least give them credit for drawing a line and saying we stop at pedophiles. She already has. Where you been? I don't know. Whatever you're talking about. It's Trump. Trump is in the Epstein files like thousands and thousands of times. Epstein lives in California. Epstein is dead. MAGA are a cult. Once the cult leader is gone, so is the cult. Yeah. And and like I was saying, if you weren't here at the beginning, Rubio and Vance were supposed to be the heir apparent. They were going to duke it out. And this whole Iran deal has destroyed both of them. I don't even know who the next nominee for the Republican Party is. I think they're going to have to go to somebody outside of MAGA because the economy is going to continue to get worse over the next 2 years. We haven't even hit the OBBA. We haven't hit the Medicaid cuts yet. You think this year is bad? You know why why did it not start this year? Why does it start next year? Because in November, that's why. They are so afraid of what they passed, they didn't even want it to go into effect until after the election. You think we're bad off right now? Wait until 2 years from now. You can't fix stupid, so we're still going to be in trouble with these idiots. I don't know I don't know who the idiots are in your Skull and Bones, Monica. Is Trump on the Trump? Because Harris sucked. Did she though? I bet you don't even know what she ran on. You don't know what her platform is. You know nothing about her other than what the right-wing media told you. How many January 6 people that were pardons have gone back to jail for crimes committed after January 6? And how many of them have gone back for pedophilia? At least one. And it's funny. He's like sitting there going, who could do such a thing about the whole Washington or the Lincoln Memorial? Oh, there's vandalism. But the people that literally wiped their own crap on the Capitol building, the walls of the Capitol building, he pardoned. I think FDR is somewhat overrated and a lot of the mistakes are overlooked. And actually, FDR is one of the reasons that I want to do this series on the presidents. Because I think he did a lot of really good things, and I think there are some really terrible things about him that nobody talks about. Same with his cousin, Teddy. Teddy was a good president. I'm not saying he wasn't. But, man, Teddy did some evil stuff. Sometimes I wonder how much social media would have impacted different presidents. When Teddy Roosevelt was president, there was this, war going on in the Philippines. And the U.S. military was called some kind of water torture. I can't remember what they called it. But they would take a water hose, and they would put it down their throats. And they would pump their stomachs full of water. And they would stomp on their stomachs until they vomited and sometimes, even died as they were trying to get information. It's like this incredibly grotesque torture technique. And I just wonder, that makes Abu Ghraib look kind of tame. Wonder how that would, how would an incident like that survive in the age of social media? Would we still have Teddy Roosevelt on Mount Rushmore? Although, on the other side, Teddy Roosevelt, believe it or not, was actually, in a lot of ways, extremely liberal. He was the first president to propose national health care. I mean, he believed that the Soviet Union, all right. He blocked up hundreds. Yes, that's actually one of the really telling points. And then another thing that another issue I have with FDR is the advantages that were given to white soldiers when they came back from the war that had a lot of that really did launch some of the most successful years for our economy. Black people weren't allowed to participate in that. Yes, I've seen no evidence that the Epstein files, that Iran even knows what's in them. Todd, where's the proof backing that? Todd doesn't need proof. Todd has, you know, right wing talking points. Who needs proof when you're right wing? If these devil worshippers love Trump, I'd be wholeheartedly against him. Now, who's worshiping the devil? Here, you know who's worshiping the devil? Is the capitalists. Capitalism is literally the worship of mammon. Jesus said that you can't worship God and mammon both, but capitalism is the worship of mammon. And mammon is the devil. You want to talk about devil worship? Elon Musk is a devil worshiper. According to Jesus, of course, what does he know about the Bible? Gas prices are under Biden rose under Biden because of Trump's OPEC Plus deal. It was because the Trump OPEC Plus deal, that was one thing. It was because of Russia invading Ukraine, which just totally messed up the entire distribution in Europe, and, you know, kind of similar to the Straits of Hormuz, except different area. Then number 3 is like we went back and reopened so quickly that what happened is, while everything was shut down, we reduced, you know, like worldwide, not just America, worldwide, oil production was reduced because people weren't driving. And then we went back to work, and it took time for the oil production to catch up with the gas use. So somebody, I'm sorry, I missed a comment on Harris, but in my feed, I can only hold so many, and I'm behind. Kamala, she would have this. No, she wouldn't. Like, just saying stupid things out loud doesn't make them less stupid. Kamala would not have us in a war with Russia. Yeah, I remember when you said that Kamala, when Mago told us that if Kamala wins, they're going to give us in a war with Iran. I remember when Donald Trump said Kamala Harris would end up getting us in a war with Iran. But you know who got us in a war with Iran? Donald Trump. Todd and Trump didn't shut down everything and rebuild it to its liking also. Oh, and Trump did. Okay. And Trump didn't shut down everything and rebuild it to his liking. Thank you, President Trump and Vladimir Putin of Russia, for releasing all those Black Jesus paintings in 2022. I don't know what the hell that's about. The only people with TDS are his supporters. It's always projection with him. And honestly, I really feel like there are, you know, real conversations to be had that are nuanced and need like more than, you know, like one side. But you can't, like, if you've been watching this show, there's no substantive thing that MAGA talks about. They just come in and insult you or say, what about Biden? Or, you know, what about Obama? They don't actually talk about anything. Red states are the true welfare queens. 80% of this country's GDP comes from the states and cities, from blue states and cities. Interesting. I can't verify that independently, but it seems about right. It's going to take decades, and it's going to cost so much money to undo. He's really screwing up the country. Nobody ever has damaged America as much as Donald Trump. That's not hyperbole. Putin just looked for the next big gold pile. He is a dictator, and you are supporting it. Apostrophe. Please, the war on apostrophes has gone too far. He has evil. Could start by not electing a felon to the most powerful office in the world. And it's like, he's a convicted felon. And January 6th, I do not understand how people can look at January 6th and think, yeah, we need to make him president again. Hate him because he is a con man and a liar. It's allowed I don't know what the, apparently there is this whole sidebar conversation that I have no idea what's going on here. You should see a picture of the Obama kids' real parents. I have. They're named Barack and Michelle Obama. Such a weird world you guys live in. It's the same thing. Like when people say things like Barron Trump isn't Trump's real son. Yes. The kids are really their kids. Like, it's just so silly. You realize there's like actual birth announcements and stuff, right? SNAP encourages the welfare state, but many people do need it. SNAP does not encourage the welfare state. And the word welfare state is, again, it's loaded. There are not people who spend their whole lives on welfare. That is a misconstruction. There are limits to how long you can be on SNAP, even legally. SNAP is a Band-Aid. In terms of assistance for the poor, for the wealthiest nation in the world, we actually are doing really terrible in terms of wealth distribution. There's some, hang on, what is that called again? There's a, can't remember what it's called. There's a scale for wealth distribution, and among all the industrialized countries, we are way down. I'll put it in tomorrow's show. I'll have something on that. But we are way down there. Last among all the industrialized, all the first world nations, and we're even behind like some of the third world countries. Although I don't think you're supposed to say third world anymore. The poorer countries. Trump brought back firing squads. I'm not aware of any actual firing squads. I know he made mention of it. Wages so low that even working full-time, the employees are eligible for SNAP is the real shame. Exactly. And it's like they're against minimum wage or raising the minimum wage. They're just like, well, just get a second job. Like, there are people that seem to think that if you're wealthy enough, then you should never have to pay taxes. And if you're poor enough, you should just have to work until you die. No, the basketball court was paid for by Obama. Ballroom is not donations. We've been through this like 25 times. I don't know how many times people have to keep, like, just Google it before you correct me with wrong information. You have to apply for benefits. You have to be economically qualified. There are requirements to work. It doesn't even cover much of a grocery trip anymore. Like, has anybody ever, like, if you've ever actually, I went through a period of my life where I was really struggling financially, and I applied for wealth for SNAP benefits, and you like basically you have to go and they like do background researches on you. They like I had to, I was asked, well, there's this lady named Kelly Scaletta in Iowa. What do you know anything about that? I'm like, no. Anyway, it's like you really have to go through the ringer to get SNAP benefits. And then it's like $70 a month or whatever, depending on, like, not most people don't get the maximum. Most people only get a prorated version. The ballroom is being paid for by taxpayer dollars. There is an actual that I don't know why you insist on things that aren't true. Look it up. You're a Dem libtard, obviously not objective. Oh, okay. Well, that's a great argument. You can make a ballroom without $1 billion. Just saying even 100 million would be enough to get real. They're asking for $1 billion. And that's in addition to whatever the private is paying for. And personally, I want the White House paid for. I want those renovations paid for with taxpayer money, because I think that the taxpayers should own the White House. Like that, having it outsourced to private funding is bad. And spending $1 billion on doing it without going through Congress first is bad. The basketball court was not $340 million. Where do you just make this up? You notice the Trump supporters in chat don't like to talk about Trump on the Epstein files. George Washington is not the first president. He was the first president to have a 4-year term. He was the first president. I don't know if you're talking about like the Articles of Confederation or whatever, but yeah, that was the first president after the Constitution. Trump deranged. Obama. No, like Todd, that's just wrong. You can keep saying that and it's still going to be wrong. Other than the entire British government had a prime minister and cabinet, and unlike in America, our entire cabinet is elected. That's actually a good idea. That's not a... Of course, we'd have to change the Constitution. Obama has never met Epstein. Not that I'm aware of. So, yeah, sorry. I know who was best friends with him for like 20 years. So just forget about the Epstein files. Just let it go. We will never stop talking about the files. God is working. So, Todd, should people who pay to rape children be in jail? Why don't you look up some of your Democratic leaders talking about illegally? Why should I? I heard the baby duck that died in the reflecting pool turned his steering wheel. I don't know what that means. I think it's a joke, but I don't get it. So you're so delusional. Iran has been a threat for decades. Okay, again, there's an apostrophe there. It's Y-O-U apostrophe R-E. And Iran was not an imminent threat. Iran was not going to nuke us. It's such a silly argument. Iran was not a danger. Do you know how many terrorist attacks that Iran has carried out in the United States? 0. I think that the aspect goes along with the Christian nationalism, have to believe things with no proof to go along with it. It's not the Constitution. Yeah, John Eastman's brief was a conspiracy to overthrow the United States government. Iran was not a threat any more than Russia or North Korea. No, well, I would say they're even less because Russia and North Korea actually have nukes. No one in the Gulf state agrees with you. There was no imminent threat, which is why Tulsi Gabbard was like there was no imminent threat. Do you honestly, like, if you honestly believe that Iran would have nuked us by now if we had not attacked them, then you're gullible enough to vote for Trump 3 times. Okay. Well, somebody says that Trump shouldn't negotiate. We were paid $300 billion. What happened not negotiating with terrorists? And then Rival says, this time the USA are the real terrorists. The USA is the one that killed a bunch of schoolgirls. And then Donald Trump says that we don't need to talk about that. The biggest misinformed channel here explaining why 40 people view this poop channel. I don't know. You can't correct me on anything. I'm not misinformed, dude. I'm just not informed by, I don't believe everything that OAN tells me, because guess who else is supporting the channel by commenting? That's right, you, Todd. By the way, if you do want to support this channel, go ahead, click like and subscribe because I can use it. Keep it up. Thank you, Jerry. You're just yelling things because you don't like what is being said. That doesn't mean that you're calling out BS. You're not actually correcting anything. You like, other than the, like, you're making up this lie about Obama charging taxpayers $350 million for the tax court. That's not true. All right. Again, you say you can't support Harris. Why not? You can't say why. I bet you don't even know what was in it. Is it because she's black, or is it because the black person was a woman? I feel sorry for you because you're in denial. Your savior Trump can do no wrong. He's the anointed one. Trump's worshipers are crazy. And just to show I'm an equal, please, you are the apostrophe. Stop the war on apostrophes. Now you've got Democrats that are falling victim to this plague. So is Trump a prophet, the savior? I just, Donald Trump compares himself to Jesus Christ. And people say, we're in a cult. Old people need to shut their mouth about politics. Okay, does that include Donald Trump? Because Donald Trump is older than me. Oh, you're talking. Oh, so you're not saying I'm who is old? I didn't give you Donald Trump. No, Sedon, but Harris was. What was horrible about Harris? What was so bad about Biden? I'm not talking about things that happened while he was president. I mean, what did he actually do that offends you so much, Todd? What was so bad about Harris that you are like? Was it that she, like, here's something about Harris. Harris actually wanted to allow for, like right now there are a bunch of Americans that are kind of they're sandwiched between, they have children they need to take care of and they have parents that need to be taken care of. And rather than have those parents put in nursing homes, they'd rather have them live where they're at. And if they get put in nursing homes, Medicaid would cover the cost of that and it would be a lot more expensive. So Kamala Harris wanted to allow those people to be paid for caring for their loved ones. It would be cheaper than putting them in the nursing home. It would mean that the family would be more able to survive because they're not losing that income from usually the mom that needs to stay home and take care of the parents and the children. It would have been better all the way around. What's so terrible about that policy? What's so terrible about trying to get rid of the all the not in my backyards legal logistics that are stopping new homes from being built? What's so wrong about trying to have new homes built? Like, I don't think you actually know what Harris was running on because the media did a really terrible job of reporting it. She was out there giving message. They didn't broadcast her channels and have every network spend every day talking about what she was doing. They just ignored her. Learning center fraud. Biden didn't do anything about a learning center fraud. I know that his Department of Justice prosecuted it, but I don't know. I mean, like, I don't think you really know what you're talking about, Todd. I think you just regurgitate OAN talking points and call yourself a centrist. I don't agree with the Democrats because they support illegal aliens and using these illegal aliens. The illegals aren't voting, and illegals is not a noun. Illegal is an adjective. And nobody is supporting non-citizens voting. That is just a lie. And non-citizens aren't voting. So you don't agree with the Democrats because you believe the lies the Republicans are telling you about Democrats. Illegal immigrants don't vote because to register to vote, they would literally be signing one of the few documents that is guaranteed to tell the government it needs to deport you. It's like you are sitting there, you're not just telling them this in a signed document. You are telling them this in a signed document that says, that has your address on it. There are just handfuls of people, non-citizens that voted. And by the way, the very few people who have been convicted of non-citizen voting would not have been prevented by the SAVE Act because they had fake forged documents. They're not trying to, there's something called a risk reward. All right. There is a huge risk of like having their entire lives destroyed if they vote illegally. And the reward is they get to cast one more vote. The reward is minimal and the risk is maximal. That's why they don't vote, because they're not stupid. He secured the border. He did not secure the border, Todd. He ended the human right to seek asylum. That's the only difference in their border policy. Joe Biden followed the laws regarding regarding asylum, and Donald Trump doesn't. And this is one of those things where I say we need to discuss policy. We need to discuss what to do about asylum. But Joe Biden enforced the law. Donald Trump broke it. FAS was to something before Iran war. I don't know what that means. FAS to something before Iran. I don't know what that means. Iran has been chanting death to America. That's nonsense. I mean, I don't, none of like, because you have people like a recording of, that's just, Todd, grow up. Learn to like, anyway. I suggest that you do some actual research and get deprogramming ASAP. Oh, she says that to Paul. I don't know what Paul is saying. AIPAC has a lot of Democrats weak on Israel. I mean, the Work and Family Mobility Act under Massachusetts Bill H 4470, which allows undocumented immigrants to apply for a standard driver's license. The law strictly mandates strict driver rules. Yeah, there's some places. So what happened in Illinois is they wouldn't give illegal immigrants driver's licenses, which means they didn't have to pass a road test. They didn't have to prove they could drive before they would just go out and drive illegally. And so what happened is you had an illegal immigrant kill a family in a traffic accident in like, I want to say it's like around the mid 2000s or maybe a little bit earlier in Illinois. So they started making illegal immigrants take the driver's test and give them a driver's license because it's safer. I'd rather have an illegal immigrant driving, showing that they can drive, than an illegal immigrant driving, having not shown they can drive. Did you know that the picture, the Jesus we always imagine, or that, you know, that was actually Leonardo da Vinci's nephew that posed for that picture. He was a good-looking guy. Jesus wasn't. The Bible actually, if you look, Isaiah says that he would have no comeliness that men would desire him. He's actually probably pretty ugly, like physically. Biden had persons arrested for praying in front of an abortion clinic. No, he did not have people arrested for praying in front of an abortion clinic. People were arrested, and I mean, Biden didn't like call them and say, go arrest them. People that were blocking the entrance to an abortion clinic were breaking the law, and so they were arrested for breaking the law. He did not silence anybody on Twitter and Facebook over comments on COVID. He wasn't even president when those voices were being silenced. Donald Trump was president in 2020. You do know this, right? Like, MAGA seems to have gotten in their head that Joe Biden was president in 2020. And they blame him for all kinds of stuff that happened in 2020. This is like, it's so frustrating dealing with the MAGA, because you have to go through so many layers of nonsense before they can just say something like, gee, maybe Donald Trump shouldn't have given his friend millions of dollars to go and take care of a pool, the Lincoln Reflection Pool, without actually going through the process of bidding and doing it like the law says. It is one of the things that irritates me about the two-party thing. They are still better than anything the Republicans are putting forward currently, but are still a long way. Yeah. And I like my dream is that someday the Republican Party is gone and you have the Democratic Party and you have the Democratic Socialist Party. And then you actually have like a center right and a center left kind of policy. And then they discuss policy and they negotiate things and they debate actual topics instead of the nonsense we have right now, where it's just either you're for or against things. Yeah, the Obama renovation was actually a thorough renovation and not just painting it. And it was effective. I mean, it did what they were trying to do. Trump, okay, what did I say that Trump can sue me for? I didn't say he's a pedophile. And dude, not everybody that was on the island, not everybody that went to the island wasn't necessarily a pedophile. Stephen Hawking went to the island so he could go on a submarine. And most of the child raping that happened did not happen on the island. It happened in Epstein's home. Donald Trump sent one of the Mar-a-Lago girls was sent to Epstein to give him a massage, and she was sexually molested. And Donald Trump still sent people there. I didn't need to know how many Republicans take AIPAC money. If they're, yeah, AIPAC is, it's just become a kind of a buzzword thing. Like, having received money from AIPAC does not mean that you are for genocide in the Gaza Strip. It's one of those things where there's more nuance than some people would like to talk about. Melania Trump isn't committing fraud and lying to the American people about it. Donald Trump is. Obama didn't send his police into nurseries and schools to try and arrest illegal immigrants at schools or nursery. Yeah, Harry is a great guy. I like Harry. I mean, he knows more about American politics than MAGA does. Todd, he definitely knows more than Todd does. I think you understand the fixation with it perfectly. You're just arbitrarily being ignorant. I don't know who you're referring to and what. All right. All right. So we're at 3 hours, and I need to go to the bathroom. So I think I'm going to end here. I want to thank everybody for watching. If you have not already done so, please click like and subscribe. Sorry I didn't get to all your comments, but man, we got a lot of comments today. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you again tomorrow.